Good morning, Palm Beach County, and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners Comprehensive Plan Public Hearing of Wednesday, November 6, 2024. If I could have the clerk read the roll call, please.
Commissioner Barnett.
Here.
Commissioner Baxter. Vice Mayor Marino.
Here.
Mayor Sachs.
Here.
Commissioner Weiss.
Here.
Commissioner Woodward.
Here.
Thank you.
Very good. Greg, would you want to do the prayer? Excuse me. Is that too much? I'm sorry. I should have asked you before. If I could have Commissioner Weiss lead us in the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Father, guide us in our duties we are about to perform. Give us wisdom to make the best decisions for all our citizens. Help us to remember that no problem is too small to escape concern and perplexity too great to resist solution. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You're always ready to pick that up. Thank you. Thank you so much. Do we have proof of publication?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
Okay. And if I could have a motion to receive and file on the proof of publication.
Second.
Very good. First by the Vice Mayor, second by Commissioner Weiss. All those for. Anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 6-0. No, 5-0. Wow. Very good. Now, if we could go on to agenda approval. Are there any additions, deletions, substitutions to the agenda?
Yes, Mayor, there is a correspondence that was received by the Planning Division. It's in the white printout letter. It's for the last item. It's really the one regular item, CDNK Medical Text Initiation.
Uh-huh.
It's a letter from an attorney representing the adjacent western property owner or resident.
And that would be listed as 4A1.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Okay. Could I have a motion to receive and file with the addition of that item to the agenda? I see it first by Vice Mayor Marino, a second by Commissioner Woodward. All those for. Anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 5-0. Any postponements for anything on the agenda?
No, ma'am.
Very good. Thank you. So I'd like to have a motion to adopt the agenda. I have Commissioner Barnett, second by Commissioner Weiss. All those for. Anybody opposed? See that it passes 5-0. Let's go on now to the public hearings, which are found on pages 2 to 5. For the record, this is 3A1, a county proposed text amendment, which is the Bioscience Research Protection Overlay revisions.
Yes.
Very good. You're on staff.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. Twee Shutt for the record. This item 3A1 is the Bioresearch Protection Overlay revision. This is a county proposed text amendment. Proposed is to revise a comprehensive plan related to the Bioscience Research Protection Overlay. Staff is providing two options for the board. One is to delete the policies related to the Bioscience Board within the future land use element and the ICE element. The second option is to delete the overlay altogether, including the objective and policies within the future land use element, and the ICE, which is the intergovernmental coordination element. Also revising the land use map 3.1, special planning areas of the map series to delete the overlay. So the board has seen this in January of this year. The Bioscience Land Protection Advisory Board unanimously vote to sunset themselves. The board gave us direction then to look in June to delete the references to the board from the comp plan. In our review, we felt that there's a second choice, that we could also delete the whole entire overlay language in there. If the board chooses a second option, then ULDC language would also need to be changed. So with that, there are two motions before the board. Also to add, the Planning Commission voted approval of option 1B, which is to delete the overlay in its entirety, and that passed by a vote of 11-1 on October 11th at the Planning Commission meeting. So there'll be two motions: one to transmit the bioscience protection research protection overlay revision amendment, and then the second one is to receive in file the business impact estimate. This is something that is warranted by the statute change that basically requires this business impact estimate for all county-initiated land use and zoning ordinances.
Very good. Okay, very good. Did you wish to say something with regard to this?
No, staff is here, Alondra is here, should the board want a presentation.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, would we like to have a further presentation on this item? We have one card, and I know Vice Mayor Marino would like to say something on it. Go right ahead, Vice Mayor, you're recognized.
As the chair of the now defunct Bioscience Land Overlay Protection Advisory Board, say that 3 times fast, the board did come to a unanimous conclusion that it was time to sunset this, and so I believe that option 1B would be the best option for that. I think we have a card, and after the card, I'd actually just like to make a motion to transmit and to receive and file.
Very good.
Thank
You, Vice Mayor. We do have a card, and then we'll have, well, let me have a second first. Did you say good? We have a, she did, yes, she did.
I said after the card, I'll make the motion.
Okay. So we will wait for the first and the second. And Commissioner Weiss, go ahead and read the card.
Alexandria Larson.
Good morning, Ms. Larson.
Good morning, Mayor. I thought you were going to say, let's get ready to rumble. You were so excited the way you talked up the meeting today. It was great. I was just letting you know that. It was humorous to me. Because I used to beg one of the attorneys, he had a very deep voice, let's get ready to rumble. This was the worst journey I've ever seen in my life. And I am going to say, I told you so. I have to, because this started for me 21 years ago, almost to the day of, we don't need this. We don't want this. I remember they said, we want scripts in our backyard. And it cost the taxpayers $1 billion, all collectively. And I remember being in Karen Marcus's office. I remember being in many, many places and saying, don't do this. And everybody said, you can't go against the governor? Oh, yes, we did. Because at least it didn't end up in my backyard up there in Mecca. Because this was just, this is why I don't like public-private partnerships. It's just the way it is, commissioners. It usually doesn't work out well for the taxpayers. And I could say that with a clear conscience and a clear heart, because these things don't work out. And we did. This was supposed to be the splitting of the atom, curing cancer, unbelievable stuff that was just presented to the public that was absolutely, you want to talk about misinformation? Let me tell you, because I did. I almost brought my flyer today that started my war with this item, because we did. We had to take it to federal court to stop it. Federal court, the little people. We really tried hard, and there was quite a few people that tried really, really hard, and I hope from now on, forever, that we really take a step back before we do this stuff. It's just the way it is. I hate to be somebody that said, I told you so, you know, because I got maligned, beat up, kicked many times throughout these years. And just recently at Solid Waste Authority, I got kicked again. Please stop kicking me, because I'm not going to leave, and I'm not going to stop asking you to please help us, because we got a lot of big issues. Raphael's coming today. I hope he doesn't turn into a Milton, and I hope you all have an easy day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Larson. Okay, are there any other cards, Commissioner Weiss?
No, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Are there any questions or comments to the staff at this time? All right, Vice Mayor Marino, you're recognized.
So with that, I will choose option 1B and make a motion to transmit and a motion to receive and file.
Do we need two separate to transmit and to receive and file, Mr. Attorney?
I think we're good with, as she
One.
presented it. Yeah.
Excellent. Seconded by Commissioner Woodward. All those for. Anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 5-0. Thank you very much for the presentation. Let's go on now to 3B1, West Delray RV. And I believe we have Morton, Ms. Morton and Lard. Good morning.
Good morning. Is that right? Yeah. All right. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Lauren McClellan with J. Morton Planning and Landscape Architecture. And on behalf of the applicants, Karen and Roger Fina, who are here with me today, I will be presenting the West Delray RV Resort comprehensive plan, map, and text amendment applications. The two requests before you today are a text amendment to allow commercial recreation vehicle resort or campground in the commercial recreation future land use designation in the agricultural reserve tier, and a comprehensive plan map amendment from agricultural reserve to commercial rec with an underlying AGR. The 10.11 acre property is located on the north side of Atlantic Avenue, west of State Road 7. The request should be familiar, as this board initiated text amendment to allow the RV resort and commercial rec in the ag reserve tier earlier this year in May. So now we're back before you with the text amendment and the comprehensive plan map amendment from AGR to commercial rec. So this map shows the Atlantic Avenue corridor and the various properties that have industrial, commercial, mixed-use, industrial designations along Atlantic Avenue and along State Road 7. And the property specifically is surrounded by a mix of recreation, commercial, agriculture, and utility uses. So at the intersection of State Road 7 and Atlantic Avenue, there's a gas station and a commercial plaza, a post office, and a AmeriGas business. West of State Road 7, on the south side of Atlantic Avenue, there's various agriculture businesses, as well as a chipping and mulching facility and an approved FP&L substation. On the north side of Atlantic Avenue, west of State Road 7, there's agriculture, equestrian uses. And then to the north and to the west of the subject property is the West Delray Regional Park. And then further to the west of that is the Loxahatchee Wildlife Refuge. So the proposed RV resort would be a complementary use next to the county park, as the park supports a variety of activities and amenities, including archery, radio-controlled airplane field, radio-controlled boat lake, a radio-controlled car track, and helicopter field, as well as mountain bike trails and frisbee golf. Many of these activities do involve weekend events and tournaments. And so these are pictures from some of them. So some of the tournaments last over the weekend, and there are people bring their RVs and they stay in the park over the weekend. So this is a flyer from one of those events. You can see in the lower right-hand corner, which I've blown up just for the people like me who can't read the small print on the screen. You can see that there is a $25 camping fee for this event for the weekend, and that there are no hookups available. This park is rustic. There's no water and sewer facilities in this park. So therefore, we think that the RV resort would be a compatible use for that and assist with some of those events. And then, so 3 miles to the north is the actual entrance to the Loxahatchee Wildlife Refuge. The Wildlife Refuge is about 145,000 acres. 300,000 visitors visit the Wildlife Refuge a year, which equates to about 122 visitors per day. There's various activities in the Wildlife Refuge, which include hiking, biking, canoeing, hunting, fishing, wildlife photography, bird watching, etc. We feel the proposed RV resort would provide a place for nature enthusiasts to stay while visiting the refuge as well. And so now I just want to point out a couple facts regarding RV resorts and campgrounds. So during season, Palm Beach County campgrounds and RV spaces are completely booked. The RV lifestyle has really gained popularity with technology advancements and more opportunities offering remote work. So if you look at the West Coast and the central part of the state, there are multiple RV parks that support this growing lifestyle and pastime. However, when you look at Palm Beach County, there's limited options for RV enthusiasts. Up here is a map with the different pinpoints of our RV resorts and campgrounds in the county. As you can see that there's only one RV resort within 10 miles of the property. I also think it's important to note that all of these locations are near the beach, they're near Lake Okeechobee, they're near nature areas or other kind of tourist attractions. The property's location next to the regional park in proximity to the wildlife refuge would make the subject property an ideal location for the proposed use. And this slide just shows some pictures of other RV resorts and their amenities. You'll see that the applicant is proposing similar amenities such as a clubhouse and outdoor activities when this application comes back before you with the site plan application. You'll see all of those amenities on that site plan. And so you've seen the full text amendment, which is detailed in your staff report. This is the main point and the excerpt of it. The proposed language is very similar to what you initiated in May. Some language is proposed to clean up the comp plan for consistency purposes, but the crux of the proposed change is to allow an RV park within the commercial rec future land use designation within the ag reserve tier, subject to specific criteria, which include the property being a minimum of 5 acres, and it has to be located on the north side of Atlantic Avenue, abutting the West Delray Regional Park. We received a letter in support of the transmittal from the Alliance of Delray Residential Associations. We're continuing to work with the Alliance as we finalize the site plan, and the applicant has committed to connecting the property to water and sewer as discussed in the letter from the Alliance. And I just want to say that an issue that's been raised relates to the safety of those visiting the West Delray Regional Park, specifically in regards to those who can stay at the RV resort. I've had conversations with planning staff, and we're prepared with a condition which could be placed on the zoning application that reads, generally in accordance with Florida state statutes, a guest registration shall be maintained at all times. Requests for occupancy from individuals identified as sex offenders or registered on the Florida Department of Law Enforcement as a sex offender and predator shall be denied in accordance with Florida state statutes. It's also my understanding that the county attorney's office has indicated that Florida state statute would prohibit sex offenders from residing at the RV resort due to the proximity of the Delray Regional Park. So in conclusion, the proposed RV resort is a compatible and appropriate use to support the West Delray Regional Park and Loxahatchee Wildlife Refuge. The Planning Commission and Board of County Commissioners initiated this text amendment earlier this year. We have a letter of support from the Delray Alliance. In October, the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of this application. Staff is recommending approval of the application. And on behalf of the Fina family, I respectfully request transmittal of the application. If you have any questions, I'm available after staff's presentation.
Do we have any questions or comments for the applicant? All right. Hi, Do. Yeah, stay up there. Okay, good. Thank you. I support this, and I see Mr. and Mrs. Fina here, and we've met a number of times on site. So I do support this idea, and I thank you for putting in the Florida state statute as a condition that no one, guest registration will always be open and available to law enforcement, that nobody there who has any issues with not being close to where children play will be very much a part of that registration. I have a couple of questions with the proximity to the Loxahatchee Wildlife Reserve. I just want to make sure that it's on the record. This end of this park is 1,200 feet from your RV park to the Loxahatchee Wildlife Reserve. What provisions have you made for any type of barrier of native trees between the RV park and the beginnings of the Loxahatchee Wildlife Reserve?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? You're talking about about buffers? You're talking about?
Correct.
So we are working with the site plan right now. That is going to come back before you.
Okay, good.
We do recognize that native plant materials will be used, and we're working with staff on various conditions and during the site plan phase for that.
Very good, appreciate that. The road, Atlantic Avenue West of 441, that goes into the RV park and then enters into our park, county park, does that have access into the Loxahatchee Wildlife Reserve?
It
That's
does not.
completely closed, good, okay. I want to be sure. And I think we also talked about the use of fires and things like that, that we can discuss at a later date when it comes back forward. Okay, I do support this, thank you. Any other questions or comments? So, okay. Do we have any presentation by staff that,
Yes, ma'am, we do have one if the board wishes.
does anybody wish to have a presentation? I think we have a very informative study in your presentation to us. We have 2 cards. Now, does anybody wish to have a presentation by that? Okay, very good. Then, why don't you go ahead, Commissioner Weiss?
Thank you. Alexandria Larson, followed by Lisa Johnson.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm sorry I'm a cynic and I live in fear constantly because this reminds me of the Bednars. Started out as a little shack and then it got a store and now they're going to have warehouses. So now we got an RV park. What happens in our future? Is there any protections that this has to revert back to fallow land or anything if we make a mistake? The Arthur Marshall really worries me. It's 147,000 acres also. That is the size of the Arthur Marshall. Because I have a lot of respect for it. I have several friends that are photographers that have done pictures for a lot of years. And I think we've got to have some backup dog zippies guarding these proposals. Because when it fails, what do we have left? We do something else. And you won't be here, or maybe I won't be here. I'm hoping I'm not here. But I really do. This is what we do in this county. You make a mistake, and then we have to do something else. We have to fix it. And I want it fixed back to where it's good for the Arthur Marshall, not good for somebody's pocketbook or anything else. And I'm not being, it's just the way it's been. So hopefully there'll be some safeguards or something that will say, hey, no, we're not going to build a hotel here in 10 years because somebody decided they want a hotel. I've seen this, commissioners. You have too. And I am very, very concerned about, because they say it's a luxury RV park. That's the way it's described. And when you see those giant Winnebagos, I don't know what they're called, but they're huge. They do have to have hookups and water and a lot of different things. So what's the balance here? Do we guarantee they're only staying for 3 days for the weekend and they don't have to hook up to anything? Please, I'm begging you, since we didn't protect it up the road a little bit, I'd like it protected here. The Arthur Marshall gets awful wide the further south you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Larson. Ma'am, state your name, you're recognized.
Hi, my name is Lisa Johnson. I live in Loxahatchee, Florida. I have some concerns. I've attended a couple planning meetings that this was addressed at. The archery, the radio-controlled cars, recreation, the Frisbee park, great, awesome. We need that in our community. I'd see the pictures depicting campers, which I have, a travel trailer. I saw a pop-up camper there. I have a problem with this being a motor coach park that people can come with have to have a luxury vehicle. And this is not going to be for our community. This is going to be for a certain portion of the residents, or maybe not residents, because they can come was discussed, which was not discussed here, how this will be managed. How long can they stay? Up to 6 months? No. not acceptable. You're gonna have motor coach people come here and live for 6 months, take it away from us, the people that want to enjoy these kind of activities. I'd like to make sure that that is definitely that you're aware of that. Another thing that was brought up, and you know I'm very much an environmentalist, with the trucking and the water, the RV pads were mentioned at the planning meeting. Kelly Larson, they didn't know if it was how they were going to be, whether it was going to be pavers or gravel. And Kelly did mention to them there's a special surface that when it's washed off, it goes to a containment and the oil is separated and it is collected just like the trucks' garages are done. So I would like you to take that into into your, oh, sorry about that. I didn't know if it was going to be having the self-contained units. I thought it would have water and septic and electric. I just assumed that, almost, a pop-up camper that doesn't have a bathroom would be able to come. But if that's not the case, my camper has a shower and a bathroom in it, so it is self-contained. And so I just wanted to share that with you. I just want to be able to use this park with my camper. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other cards, Commissioner?
No, ma'am.
I have a question for staff. The county does not own the park that's located where this RV park is going to be placed. What do we have any issues? I believe it's the South Florida Water Management District, and we have a lease. Do we have any issues with that? That has been taken care of? That we would have an RV park so close?
So the Parks and Rec Department is part of our department review. We didn't receive any negative comments from them related to this application.
Okay. Okay, just want to be sure. And I do have another question. Laura McClellan, I wonder if you could come back. I just want to be sure that that this will be addressed at the next hearing, and that is with regard, is this glamping? Is that what they call it, glamming or glamping? I don't know, but my kids have done it. Will this be advertised as they can rent a beautiful space as glamping?
That will be addressed during the site plan approval process. We're still working through, I've taken notes from the comments that were made previously as well. As far as the sizes of the different spaces, et cetera, that will be all addressed. We're still working out those specific details.
Will you make sure as you work out those details with staff that you meet with the commissioners, certainly me,
Yes.
but I'm sure my colleagues as well?
Yes.
Second thing, we're not talking septic here. We're talking county sewage.
Yeah, we're gonna extend water and
Okay.
sewer lines.
Very good. And I'd also like for you to address, when you come back, speak to my colleagues with regard to the length of stay. I really hesitate to think that someone could just go there and live, and I think that maybe we should address that before you come back.
Yeah, I mean, per Florida state statutes, the maximum length of stay is 180 days.
That's 6 months. Mhm. And then also with regard to the communal area, I don't think there's any issue with lights, but I am a little bit concerned about fire. Okay? That's it. Any other questions or comments by colleagues? If not, I think we're ready for a vote. And I see a first by, did you want to do it first? Okay.
No.
First by Commissioner Weiss, the second by the Vice Mayor. All those for, anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 5-0. Congratulations to the Fina family. Okay, let's move on to the next item, which is the Rawlings, this is 3B2, Rawlings Estate, Flu and Text. If we could have a staff report, that would be good.
Yes, our deputy director will be doing the quick summary for the board after the presentation.
Okay, the applicant is here, very good. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Matthew Barnes, Senior Project Manager at WGI, co-agent for Rawlings Estates LLC. Here with me is my co-agent, Scott Backman, partner at Miskell Backman. So the property is located north and west of Okeechobee Boulevard and Seminole Pratt Whitney Road, also north and west of Lion Country Safari, south of Sycamore, and on the west side of 180th Avenue North. This is both a privately initiated text amendment to the comp plan and a future land use atlas amendment. We're essentially creating an overlay in the rural tier, and we're changing the land use from RR10, 1 unit per 10 acres, to LR1, 1 unit per 1 acre. Concurrently with that, we have also a privately initiated amendment to the ULDC to create a companion overlay, if you will, in the ULDC, and we're processing a Class A conditional use essentially for the site plan. The text of the text amendment has not changed since you last saw this in May. It's pretty simple. It's creating, it's adding some language to a couple of objectives and then creating a new objective establishing the the Loxahatchee Estates overlay, defining the boundaries, saying that you have to do this concurrently with zoning. The acreage is a minimum of 100 acres. We have 104 acres. The maximum density is 1 unit per 1 acre with no further increases through TDRs or workforce housing, and that the minimum lot size is 1 acre. So quite simply, this is the map as it currently is. There's there's RR 2.5 to our east, and then RR5 and RR10 is the current designation of the subject property. We're proposing to change that to LR1. And then this is an important slide that illustrates, because we're developing under the current modern ULDC, it's 54 lots on 104 acres. So that the math works out to that's essentially 1 lot for every 2 acres. It's 1.93 acres of gross lot size. And that's because under the current ULDC, we have to set aside, 25% for an upland preserve. We have to do proper drainage. We have to have private rights of way. So although it's 1 unit per acre, by the time you factor in all the development regulations of the ULDC, we're essentially at 1 unit per 2 acres. Whereas in the acreage directly to our east, those properties are at 1 lot for every 1.24 acres. So this illustrates the compatibility and consistency with the development pattern we're proposing with what is directly to our east in the acreage. And then this is the proposed subdivision plan that is being processed concurrently with county staff, and we'll come back to you at the adoption hearing as well. So it's evolved a little bit since you last saw this in May. We've actually come down in units by 4 units. The environmental preserve is even larger than it was back in May. Now it is 21.65 acres, and we're also preserving just shy of 8 acres of wetlands on that south parcel. As you can see, most of the development is concentrated on the north parcel. The highest quality wetlands and uplands are on the south parcel, so we're essentially leaving that pretty much alone. There's 3 lots that we're proposing on the south parcel that front directly onto 180th Avenue North. This is where we are in the process. Everything was initiated in April and May. We've been going through the process. Today is the transmittal. The Class A is expected to go to the Zoning Commission in January or maybe early February, and then of course in February we'll come back with everything, adoption of land use, and then also the Class A conditional use and the ULDC amendment. Just a couple things we wanted to touch upon here at the end. There is an option for a condition in your staff report about workforce housing. Staff is recommending that the workforce housing be provided on-site. To be clear, we will comply with the workforce housing. It's 5 units in this case. We just respectfully request that be done off-site through the Exchange Builder program due to the fact that this is a remote location in terms of employment opportunities. We think the workforce housing would be better served to be built off-site through the Exchange Builder program in a more appropriate place. And then the second thing we wanted to touch upon is regarding the potential for a fire station on the property. Prem and the fire rescue department have raised the possibility of setting aside 2 acres of this property for a future fire station. We, the applicant team, we have requested and we're awaiting to receive some information from Prem and Fire to further analyze the data and their request in more detail. We're working with Jeff Collins, he's a former Palm Beach County Fire Chief as well, to study that data once we get it and really analyze the anticipated impact of what this project would mean to the fire rescue and emergency services. So given that we're in the process of doing that, we just, at this point in time, we respectfully request that you give us the opportunity to keep working with staff on that and look at the data and not attach a condition of approval to the ordinance at this time. Of course, between now and adoption, if the data comes back and it clearly shows that there's a need for a fire station, you can attach the condition at adoption. It doesn't have to be attached at this time at transmittal. That's our one request with regard to that. And then the last thing I'll just point out, I like to always summarize, in this case, staff is recommending approval. And there's a nice quote in the staff report that says, the amendment request to LR1 for the subject site is appropriate, considering that the established density and development pattern of the acreage located directly east of the subject site, which is within the exurban tier. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions now or later.
Any questions of the applicant this time? I have a couple.
Sure.
I agree with the idea of putting the workforce housing requirement off-site. I also agree with the idea of having coordination with our fire rescue about having, and I'd also like to know when you come back, where is the nearest? If you and Prem decide not to do it, where is the nearest fire rescue station to these units that will probably be family units, I would imagine. It's not.
Yeah, I can tell you where that is if you'd like
Okay.
to.
Yeah, please.
It is Station 22, which is in the city of Westlake. And actually have a slide I could
It's all
show
right,
you.
just, right.
It's as a crow flies, it's 2.1 miles away to the north and east of the site, but it's on Seminole Pratt Whitney Boulevard up in the city of Westlake.
And then the last request, it's not a condition, I'd like to know, maybe from our staff, with regard to the infrastructure requirements, especially the roads. You're getting greater density by us agreeing to this, so I want to be sure that we have that taken care of in terms of roads and traffic and infrastructure. That's it.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? No? Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, you're on.
Good morning, Madam Mayor.
Yes.
So as Mr. Barnes provided to the board for consideration, this item is for transmittal. It would create an overlay that is really geographically unique for this parcel that would have really only conditions associated for this parcel. Within that overlay, there would be specific provisions that required a certain size of the lot itself, being over 100 acres. To be considered for this type of overlay. Subdivision of parcels would be at least 1 acre or more. As Mr. Barnes also mentioned, there has been consideration on levels of service, specifically for fire rescue services. So one of the conditions of approval that we would like to consider further is potentially dedicating acreage to that purpose. We also have a condition of approval that's recommended for workforce housing that you had mentioned, Mayor. So it's typically staff's recommendation to provide on-site. However, that's at the board's discretion where that option is provided by the applicant. If the board would like additional information, a more detailed presentation, we do have Travis Goodson, our senior planner here, with a more detailed presentation, and might have some other images that could aid the board as well.
We have been provided with a very good summary, but is there any member of the board who would like to have a more in-depth look at this application? Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much for that. Do we have any motions by the board? Pardon me? Oh, we do have a card. All right, Commissioner Weiss.
Alexandria Larson.
You do the first. Okay.
I have to start bringing my magic wand with me again. Somebody gave me one from the board years ago, so I should bring it again. Because this thing is surrounded by 5 acres. Not 1 acre, it's only got 1 acre to the east. 3 sides, 5 acres. Number one, there is no infrastructure. There's Allen Black and Sycamore. That's it. And if you do the numbers of 100 homes, that means 1,000 trips. So I think you better make it a aero club or maybe a heliport. And they can fly over us as they try to leave this 100 acres. We can't keep putting square pegs into round holes, commissioners, just because somebody wants more money. Because that's what this is all about. Dorothy Wilkins years ago, she said, Alex, follow the money. She was absolutely correct. A very dear woman to me, because she ran the money in this county. It's just the way it is, commissioners. It's just more, and we can't. It doesn't work. There are no roads to this property. It's sat out there, it's 100 acres. I'm sorry it's 100 acres, but I think we need to utilize better ideas than we need more houses. We already have a big developer who never builds workforce housing, and they built lots and lots of houses, and it's off-site. So that's another fantasy. I just don't want it anymore. I want a moratorium. I've told you that, and I'll say it again because we need to take a breath. I'm looking at Avenir. That was supposed to be magic, and it got blown away by Milton. So we've got some ideas. We've got some things that are going on in our world that we have no control over. It's called Mother Nature. And Mother Nature likes to go after big areas. She just does. She likes to laugh at us. So I wish you'd step back. I know it's privately initiated, and maybe somebody in Tallahassee will have a brain and say they need a helipad or airplanes to get out of here, to impact the roads, and point out that it's 5 acres. So let them have 20 lots, not 100. Let them match the surrounding area. We need to do that right now. And there's another firehouse. It's at Okeechobee. You got 2 firehouses out there, but it would be good for a firehouse too. Always great to have firemen around. But I think they deserve 20 lots and no more, not 100. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other cards, Commissioner Weiss? Okay, Vice Mayor, you have something that you want to comment on. Right ahead.
I do, thank you. We're talking, if I'm not mistaken, 54 homes, 54 homes.
54.
And the idea of transmittal is so that staff can do further research, correct?
No, I think we've already done our research. Yes.
Well, no, I mean, talking about the fire station.
Yes, so that's what I wanted to mention. You may want to hear from FDO staff and the fire department with respect to the board direction that's being sought for the dedication of land for future fire station. If you'd like abbreviated staff presentation to allow staff to do that.
Have they done complete research on the fire station?
Yes, they haven't. They've realized that it's just the response time. It's a response time that is a little more prolonged than most. And this is just for future planning, knowing that there'll be future residents that could possibly be coming here. And it's really a planning direction that they're seeking from the board. So with that, I believe if you'd like to hear from FDO staff and the fire department as to the reasons.
Okay, I'll go off to the attorney here.
Okay, Mr. Attorney.
Yeah, so I'd just like to point out that the ask is what in the law is called an exaction. And so it has to be for a legitimate government purpose, and certainly fire rescue is a legitimate government purpose, but it also has to be proportional to the impact of the development. So the question before you and whether or not to approve this condition would be, is the request for the 2 acres proportional to the impact of the 54 homes. So in that sense, I think it would be appropriate for staff to give their presentation, at least FDO staff.
Anything else? Okay, at this time? Sir?
Mayor, if I may be recognized, thank you. Scott
Sure.
Backman on behalf of the applicant. I think that's why we've asked for this to be something that's discussed at adoption. I think Mr. Leiser makes a very good point. There's a lot that still needs to be studied here. This is not a PUD with a 2% civic acreage requirement. And as mentioned by Mr. Barnes during our presentation, we've brought in a former fire chief who is a fire consultant who has been having conversations with the fire department. We've been having back and forth email correspondence with Prem as well. We understand the ask. We're not necessarily sitting here challenging it. There's a lot of research and data out there as it relates to this particular issue on this property, number one, and whether a fire station is specifically necessary and warranted. We'd like the opportunity to continue discussing that. Mr. Leiser brought up a much better component of the discussion, which is proportionality. How much of that impact should my client have to bear if we are going to provide some acreage here? And so that's a secondary conversation that hasn't even been started yet. So yet again, happy to have the conversation here today. We're prepared to an extent, but again, we don't have all of the information we believe we need, which is why we said, let us meet with your staff. We're gonna get the information. We're gonna have the conversations. They're very good back and forth dialogue and relationships there. And we're confident by the time we're back in front of you for adoption that there'll be some form of solution proposed for this board to consider. So thank you.
Sir?
Good morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. For the record, Eric McClellan, Director of FD&O Strategic Planning Division. Let me start by apologizing for being the second McClellan you have to hear from this morning. I do apologize, but it's always an honor and privilege to speak in support of and represent our fire rescue
Do
department.
we have a choice between which McClellan we want?
You asked for the presentation, Mayor.
could,
I am
you know,
happy
I could
to
vote.
oblige.
Go right ahead, sir.
So let me provide you some additional context. I think it'll be very beneficial. And let me start with our county comprehensive plan, which does establish an average response time standard of no greater than 7 minutes and 30 seconds for emergency fire rescue response. That's the benchmark by which station siting and delivery are measured. By comparison, the FY23 average response time in the subject property service area was 8 minutes and 18 seconds. And the estimated response time to the subject site is 10 minutes, 30 seconds. And these conditions do raise concerns for elevated risks to life and property by introducing additional population that has not been anticipated by land use and facility planning to date. So what are some of the contributing factors to those response times? Well, there's a combination of things. For instance, there's a limited road network in this particular service area. The design and speed of local roads is not as great as our arterial and collector streets. There's also a very large lot pattern of development in this area. And altogether, these translate to a level of service that is not designed to support the requested 5-fold increase in density within this subject service area. And without land from which to deliver a fire station, existing deficiencies are expected to further deteriorate into the future by the heightened generation of alarms and the increased competition during any widespread or concurrent emergency events, such as we saw recently as Hurricane Milton approached our area. The map that you see on the screen, this has been prepared by Fire Rescue to analyze the existing and future conditions in this area. What you see in a red boundary, this is a proposed future service area, which at present covers over 2,100 parcels. The yellow dots reflect actual calls for service in FY23, which totaled 349. Average response time to these calls was 10 minutes and 2 seconds, and 79% of all of the calls exceeded a 7-minute, 30-second response time. So a facility optimally sited on the subject site, which is the dot in red in this image, would clearly provide a relatively central location that could utilize 180th Avenue to cover all call distribution over the area, thereby greatly reducing the response time to this proposed subdivision and beyond. And I would note that farther to the south, there is a future station that is planned to provide service outside of the boundaries shown on this graphic. So as you heard, to mitigate these impacts into the future, we are recommending that an adequate site for a fire station be a condition of approval and dedicated within the subdivision. Typically, you would hear from me and accomplish that at the zoning level. But as you heard from the applicant, that application is being processed not as a plan development because it doesn't meet the access and frontage requirements, but as a conditional use. The conditional use does not include the default 2% dedication for a civic pod, as would a PUD. Therefore, we are recommending the equivalent of a civic pod as part of the future land use amendment, because this is now the vehicle in which to apply that condition. And by putting that condition in the land use ordinance, it provides us the authority to include the same conditions of approval in the zoning development order we typically would for a PUD. So it's a little bit of a technicality involved in this case. If we could go to the next slide, it does show the recommended condition language. I don't think I need to read it verbatim, but it effectively defers to the zoning development order to include all the detailed conditions for the conveyance. The recommended 2.08 acres would be 2%, same as if this were a PUD. We did represent this to the Planning Commission. They concluded unanimously in support of this recommendation. And with that, I know we do have some present and past representatives of Fire Rescue also in attendance, should they be of any assistance in answering any questions you might have.
Any questions or comments by members of the board? I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
You had mentioned that it's, and I agree, and I want to make sure that it is very clear, that it's not just the geographic proximity of a fire station, but it's also the conditions of the infrastructure, that is the roads. Sometimes you can have fire stations very close, but they can't get to the call because of traffic or because, as you said, the roads are not really major intersections, major thoroughways. So when you come back on this issue, I want to make sure that we have a study review of the roads that go into this development and that would go in and out of that fire station.
Yes, ma'am, and
Thank
we
you,
have
sir.
other facilities cited in similar environments, and operationally it is not an issue. The location is really what's most critical.
Well, I want to make sure that it's not just the location, but the degree of roads that they can travel on to get to there's a lot of calls out there. So I want to make sure that that 10 minutes is cut down to 7. All right.
If I could, Mayor, I did want to
Sure.
speak to the timing. There was a suggestion that you can defer the condition and apply it at adoption hearing, which is true, you can, but our preference would be to make the record very clear, transmit this to the state with this recommended condition of approval to demonstrate that Palm Beach County knows how to plan, and we plan very well.
I'm sure they know. Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you. As far as I'm concerned today, I do not want to have that condition put in place. I need more information on what's being proposed. I need information from the fire department, what's going to happen with Station 22 and the calls that they're currently servicing. I want to understand that and how that will change. I have no objection to including it, but I need more information about it. And then as to the proportionality, I would like to have an analysis done on that as well. And as it relates to the workforce housing, I'm fine with it being off-site. That would in fact be my preference. I'd like to have it closer to both the areas of where people work as well as potential transit availability to try and help mitigate for traffic as well. But with that, I think this is what's being suggested is reasonable, it's compatible, and I'm happy to support this. All the conditions with the exception of the fire at this point, but I'm more than happy to add it on, but I would ask for more information when this comes back.
Oh, very good. Do we have a first?
Oh, we have, let's see, we're on, this is 3B.
Right.
Do we have any more cards? No.
No? Okay. This is on 3B2. And if I have a first?
I'll make that.
Okay. Commissioner Weiss, the first. Commissioner Woodward is the second. All those 4. Anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously 5-0. Thank you very much. All right, moving right on to 3C1, the reserve at Eagles Landing. And ready for a staff report? Or should we have the applicant here first, maybe? Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. For the record, Josh Nichols with Schmidt Nichols, representing the Reserve at Eagles Landing. So this morning before us, we have two requests. One is for a large-scale future land use amendment and for a tier change, and both are hopefully slated for transmittal to the state. We are asking for a change from rural residential 1 per 10 acres to LR1, so it's 1 unit per acre. And then the tier change from the rural tier to the urban suburban tier. So we'll get into some of those details. Companion zoning applications, we have a zoning change from AR to RS. So this is a straight zone subdivision, very similar to the previous project, actually. In terms of public hearings so far, so we've received unanimous approval from the Planning Commission in October of this year. So just going briefly through the project location. So to our north, we have some similarly sited single-family developments, Seminole Ranches, single-family, Lago del Sol, PUD, Thoroughbred Lake Estates is a little bit higher in density than what we would be proposing, but all kind of located in that Lantana west of 441 location. So the subject property is 26 acres, located on the south side of Lantana Road. Its previous life, and which is waning, is agricultural production. As you can see to the south, there's a cell tower sites and a nursery to the south of the subject property. As I mentioned, the current land use is RR10, and the proposed land use would be LR1, so taking that again into the urban suburban tier and then going from the RR10 to the LR1 to match what we have mostly to our north. And one of the reasons behind this change is that this really, for all intents and purposes, is in the urban suburban tier. We've always kind of called this the Lantana hiatus property. So if you look at from a section and how the properties were laid out over the course of time, there's actually this wedge that you see where it's highlighted there, Lantana hiatus section, that actually goes all the way to the east and created this hiatus. So it really should have been moved south, maybe even to the south side of the cell towers, but it wasn't. So we don't think that those cell towers and the nursery should be brought in, but at least the parcels that front on Lantana, which have all the public services that would be needed for urban suburban development. So I won't go through these, each one of these in detail, but we do comply with the comp plan requirements for the urban suburban tier, and I think that's duly noted in the staff report. In terms of public outreach, so we've done a community meeting with Lago del Sol and with those neighbors, and we had a very good response. We also have some folks here this morning with us from Lago del Sol. The HOA president, I think, will be speaking, and we received a letter of support, which is shown here, and they actually did a polling of the neighbors as well. So that was good to see that outreach. So we do have, like I said, we have the companion zoning application, and with that is a DRO site plan. So we don't trip the thresholds for a public hearing review of the site plan. But I did want to show, because this ultimately will be how the lots are split. So these are from a half acre all the way up to just over an acre. And so again, 26 acres total and 26 lots. So 1 per acre. And here's just kind of a rendition of what these homes would look like on the lots. And what we were happy to see here, and I think what we found from Lago del Sol, is we're complementing what's already built in the area, bringing some higher end homes, some larger lots. People are seeking that in the western communities. So the county assessment and recommendation is that it is compatible with the surrounding land uses and does not negatively impact the public facilities. Consistent with the policies and overlays of the comprehensive plan, and that the LR1 is the lowest land use designation to achieve the targeted density without doing any density bonuses or increases. Similarly to the last project, we are limited to 26 units, And we are asking for the 10% of the workforce to be built offsite through the Builder Exchange program. That's a total of 3 units. And again, we don't have the workforce center here. We don't have the public transit in proximity. So I think, and other things too, HOA costs. Just taking care of an acre property is a hefty ask. So we think that that's better served someplace like an infill development or something like that for those 3. And the owner already has a builder lined up to be able to do those homes and get those online quickly. So again, we're asking today for transmittal of the large-scale land use amendment and the tier change. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Do we have any questions or comments? I have 1 or 2.
Go ahead.
I'm pretty active this morning. I don't know why. I just want to be sure that that you use native trees that are of a good size when you have the barrier to the other residential areas on your site. Just looking at the map now, I just want to be sure that, because when I saw the map, when I saw your chart up here, it was, they look like little bushes. And
Yeah.
it'd be nice to have some, and I'm sure when you come back, we'll take a look at that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll make a note of that.
Very good. And no other questions or comments? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You appreciate it.
Do we have cards? All right, we have cards at this time. Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. Alexandria Larson, followed by David Urbanski, followed by Jeffrey Cordage.
God, I miss Rosa Durando.
Oh, yeah.
Rosa Durando's territory was really nearby. She lived right across the street. Nothing belongs there on the west side of State Road 7, Commissioners. Nothing. Not more densities, not more intensities, and it certainly should not be urban and suburban on the west side. That kind of spits in the face of us buying land to try to preserve farming. It just does. It's all the time. I mean, it's just more. And I always wonder I've asked people in the years past, how much is enough? It's never enough. Because they come back 3 years later and want to increase the density, just everything. And it's just, I hope to God Palm Beach County wakes up really quickly, because we've got some really serious issues in this county. And it is not, west of 7 is not urban and suburban. It just isn't. It doesn't belong there. It's an absolute. It's just more. And that's where that's why I'm here. I got called here today. I wasn't coming, I promise. I came here yesterday. That was enough. But this is too much. We need a break, commissioners. We need to really look at what we're doing. And because there's future commissioners, I'm not blaming you. You get this stuff put in front of you, but there's another guy, like I said, with the RV park. 10 years from now, they'll say, well, we want a hotel. It's just the way this county works. And I'm jaded and I'm fearful, because the more destruction and the more trouble we have, the more it's going to cost everybody who lives here. Development doesn't pay for itself. I'm going to bring you the article that was done in 2000 where Jeb did a study on development. It doesn't pay for itself. He put a big lid on that pot quick, because it's like a Ponzi scheme almost. You got to keep paying for more. And everybody gets hurt. And we talk about workforce housing, but we never talk about the taxes and the insurance involved just to own your home. You know, you're retired, you're on a fixed income, and you can't pay the taxes and you can't pay for the insurance. We don't talk about that with the workforce people that have a certain salary. How are they going to pay those taxes and insurance? These are my questions, and I'm going to keep coming back. I'll keep emailing you. I try not to email you and bother you, but I try to bother you right here. But please, stop it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Larson.
David Urbanski, followed by, it looks like Jeffrey Cordage, or Cordero.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. My name is David Urbanski, and I am the president of Lago del Sol Homeowners Association. Our community is 28 homes of 1 acre lots. We invited the developers and Mecca Farms to a robust board meeting on Zoom. And there were many questions, they answered them. There was some dissenting residents. So as president, I decided to take a poll, and I'll give you your own individual copy of this if you don't
You
mind.
could give it to the gentleman, the clerk.
Somebody from staff will take it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And so we polled the residents as to what their feelings were. And it wasn't totally unanimous. We have 28 homes, but we have 29 votes because one of the homes has 2 lots on it. There were 2 people that were undecided. There were 2 people that were opposed. And there was 2 people that had no response when I polled them at this time. And I polled each one of them individually and sat and tried to answer questions and gave them, if they didn't attend a Zoom meeting, as much information as I could. The 2 no responses, one of them finally got back from vacation, and he agrees with the rest of the group. And the gentleman, Nicola Marciano, he owns 2 pieces of property, and he lives in Naples, Italy. So the property owner, or the property manager I spoke to last night, and they didn't quite comprehend what our system was here and everything, so they just had no opinion on the whole thing. So that leaves a voting of about 23 people out of the 29 that were actively positive about it. Although we hate to lose our tomato farm over there, we realize that the buildings that the developer has in Placid are going to enhance our neighborhood, and we look forward to that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Who's the other name? Commissioner Weiss?
Jeffrey.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the time to be here. I live at Lago del Sol, a resident there with my wife, and just want to be here we support this program, this particular project. However, there are some concerns that we have with putting 26 homes opening up directly onto Lantana Road. We're concerned about the safety, people running, biking, and walking there with their dogs. Make sure that there's appropriate measures. There's only sidewalk on one side that only goes halfway up 441, Lantana Road. So we'd want to make sure that, the safety is there for the people. Also, Lantana Road, west of 441, is only 2 lanes. I understand it's going to stay that way. We feel that the increase in traffic due to trucks, delivery vehicles, all that type of stuff, could cause additional safety and congestion. So those are the things that we're concerned about. Also, there is a road that is west of Lago del Sol that is from another development that if you go west on Lantana Road, through the bushes, you'll see that there are people that make their way around and out on Lantana Road with ATV vehicles. If Lantana Road is open further west, the name of the road is Mitchler Drive. Just concerned that if that gets open, then there'll be a way around from the western communities. And then the specific zoning on Lantana Road, wanting to be consistent on the west side of 441 versus the east side of 441.
Very good. Thank you.
Any questions?
That's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's all right. It's done. Okay, very good, thank you. I have any other questions or comments by members of the board to the applicant?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Just if I could, for the record.
Yes.
So as you heard previously by Mr. Nichols, the applicant for the project, this is a transmittal item. What's being requested is a future land use atlas amendment from RR10 to LR1. Additionally, there's a tier change that's being requested by the applicant. This is from the rural tier to the urban suburban tier. And as required by our comprehensive plan, staff had performed a tier study, and that demonstrated the appropriateness of the proposal, and that it does satisfy the future land use element requirements for that tier change. Additionally, staff is recommending approval of the future land use atlas amendment with specific conditions. One is that excuse me, the site is limited to 26 units and that there's no opportunity for bonus density. Also, staff is proposing that workforce housing units are proposed on-site. 10% would be the threshold that's currently proposed. Again, that's at the board's discretion, and the applicant is proposing a different alternative option to provide those workforce housing units. And I just wanted to put that on the record for the board's consideration. So,
Thank you very much, sir. Vice Mayor Marino?
Actually, I think I had the same concern about the driveways on Lantana. Are there other options for like a interior road where everyone would come and go as opposed to 26 driveways? So that would be one of the things I would suggest.
That's usually will be analyzed at the zoning stage, but the applicant could also speak to that, what his plans
Mr.
would be.
Nichols.
So let me just, well, I guess before I go to I have a slide that kind of shows a solution for that. So we looked at, right now, all the driveways, the 26 driveways are going to Lantana, which is similar to much of the acreage or other subdivisions that we typically have. If we were to do an internal road, we did a calculation on that, and it's about $1.5 million. And so we need to up the density at that point. And no one is game for upping the density, right? So we're trying to keep the density as low as possible, because otherwise, when you bring in a 40-foot right-of-way, it takes all that land out of the lots, right? So we lose those acre lots, and it reduces everything. But the solution that we have, oh, there it was. So what we're going to create is turnarounds. So these are pretty deep lots. As you can see, some of them are 300 plus. So we would have either roundabouts or a T turnaround within the lot, so that way no one's backing out directly onto Lantana Road, because that would be a concern if someone was backing out onto the road. But no, that would be a consideration that we would have in there as a back out. Also, we had to do some traffic calming, which is required for the distance of the roadway. So actually west of Lago del Sol, there's a traffic calming improvement that's going in there, similar actually to Lago del Sol's development. And also wanted to respond to the gentleman's question about the end of the roadway. Let me go back. Probably use this. So I think he was speaking about, oh, you can't see that. Right here at the terminus, east of that. Yeah, so where the yellow line stops is where basically the pavement ends right now. So we would have to build out, this right-of-way exists, we just need to do the improvements, and then there's a canal at the end here. So we will put up a barrier, and that will not connect through. So it will not become a connection through to other areas, so that will still remain as a dead-end situation. So I just wanted to make sure that was on the record.
You can stay up there for a minute. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so this is an interesting concept. So everybody from their lot, their 1 acre lot, is going to exit right onto Lantana Road.
Correct.
When you come back, I'd like to see the way that you've configured the roundabout for every, or the turnaround for every lot, because I find that to be a traffic issue. But I'm not an engineer, and I'm sure that you will have a traffic study ready for us to review before you come back at that time.
Absolutely.
And secondly, you're going to have, are there sidewalks out there right now? Any other in Boca, is it Boca Lago, or what is it?
Lago
Boca
del
Flores?
Sol.
Lago del Sol.
So, sorry, I keep trying to go to the screen you
Go ahead.
can't see. So we will be proposing a sidewalk along the entire frontage of the proposed
Very
subdivision.
good.
On
Thank
the
you. I
south side,
appreciate
yes,
that.
absolutely.
Appreciate that. And one other thing, when I look at the exhibits that you have here in your summary, and I see that there's going to be water and wastewater provider. That's not septic, that's county, right?
Correct.
Good.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any questions? All right, very good. Okay, I think we're, if there's nothing else, we're ready to roll. We have a first. Do we have a motion?
So I would go ahead and make a motion to approve this, but I'd also prefer, in this case, to have the workforce offsite.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay, and that's with what he said on the first. By Vice Mayor Marino, all those for. Anybody opposed? See that it passes unanimously, 5-0. Look forward to seeing it come back. Thank you, sir. Okay, moving right along, I think. Hello, Ms. Acosta. I didn't know. You should have come on up and given a presentation. You might have moved it along a little quicker, maybe.
Thank you.
This is your first time?
It is my first time here, yes.
Well, I'd like to introduce everybody to Daniela
Supporting Mecca
Acosta.
Farms.
And
Dana, thank
very
you.
good. Certified lobbyist now. Excellent. Thank you so much. Good
Thank
to
you,
see
Mayor.
you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, let's go on to, very good. Now we're on the regular agenda, and it is 4A1. No, is that right? Okay, very good. We
Deja
are
vu. I'm back.
moving quickly.
So thank you, Commissioners. Again, Josh Nichols with Schmidt-Nichols for the record and representing CDNK Medical. So this is just a text initiation. So we don't have a site plan. We haven't submitted the comp plan relating to this. This is just a text initiation at this point. So I want to start out first. Obviously, this is relating to a site, so we do want to go over where the site is and why we're asking for this. So the site is located at the terminus of North Lake Boulevard and Seminole Pratt Whitney. So it's about just over 3¼ acres, currently AR zoning and RR 2.5, and we are looking to eventually change those to commercial low office. So commercial low office, as you may know, pretty much allows professional office, medical, those are kind of the primary uses, and it keeps it at a lower level of, I guess, of options for uses than it would commercial low or commercial high, which is more appropriate for the west side of Seminole Pratt. And so I'll kind of get into the details of that reasoning. So what I just want to start off with is a little bit of the history of what's happened at this intersection and why the change, right? So North Lake Boulevard and Seminole Pratt are under construction, if not very close to completion at this point, as 2 5-lane right-of-ways. So these are very large, heavily traveled roads at this point. You've got dual right turns off of Seminole Pratt onto North Lake in a full signalized intersection. The 2 lots that we're talking about would be at the terminus of that intersection and are really no longer of a residential nature anymore. So that's part of the impetus for the change. I know there's a lot on this slide, so I'm not going to go into every detail, but this is the strikeout and underline of the actual comp plan text. And this text, like I said, is the bones of it were already in place. There was a project that came through in 2020 that was Reach Medical, and so that's where most of the language that's in black here is all existing. So that was put in place to allow for, I'll show you this node at Orange Avenue and Seminole Pratt. So this was, I think, nine lots at this node of intersection of Orange and Seminole Pratt, and it was mostly on the west side of Seminole Pratt. So this allowed for commercial low office in what's called Urban Office Policy 1.3J. So we are kind of taking that and taking it to the next level and saying, well, there's other opportunities in other areas that should be commercial as we move forward, because Seminole Pratt's not a small road anymore, and neither is North Lake. We took this through to Planning Commission, and we received a 9-2 recommendation of approval. And these are the nodes we were looking at. So the southernmost node is within Westlake, right? So there's a commercial node there. The second, which we talked about, which is existing and currently in the comp plan language, and that is for Orange and Seminole Pratt. And the third, which we're looking to create, is at North Lake and Seminole Pratt. One of the things that's a little bit different from the Reach Medical and why this language exists currently is they had a maximum FAR of 0.05. So it's very, very low. We feel that Orange and Seminole Pratt is a much smaller commercial node. And so we're looking for 0.15. So just a little bit bump in the FAR to make this a feasible project. The background of the, let me just go on to the next. So I'll talk about public outreach in a second, but I just want to go back to the owner who is our client on this is owned the property for about 20 years at this point. He's a general practitioner doctor, works for St. Mary's, and his wife is a dentist. So they want to start a dentist office and a general practitioner doctor's office out in the Western communities. There's a real need for this. They're seeing their patients driving from the Western communities east to see them, and they see that there's an underserved area. And I'll go into some of those details as well. But we have met with ITID, and we've met with the Acreage Landowners Association, and I know a couple folks from the ALA are here with us this morning to talk about it. And again, a lot of the items that, and I think they would agree, are more site plan related concerns, and we haven't gotten to that part yet. We're just on the text initiation to get the plane off the ground, basically. Let's talk about the medical need, right? So we've got, let me just catch up here in my notes. So we've got a population as of the 2020 census of about 43,500 residents, and more are coming to this area within Westlake, within this immediate vicinity. You can see how it's grown with the population growth there. We've had a 12.5% growth rate. One of the big things too is a lot of the patients are senior citizens, and there's about 4,000 of those individuals over the age of 65, and of those individuals, about 1,200 to 1,500 residents who don't drive, right? So they're going to have some other supplement or a neighbor help them. So we want to have these uses where they're community serving and they help those folks that are in those Western communities. I know we're going to have some medical and some office in Avenir, but that's them, right? This is for the acreage, right? This is for the acres. That there's a difference in those two areas. So this is for the acreage folks. Reducing the need for travel, enhance local convenience and economic growth, including healthcare facilities within this area. Again, the ongoing construction of North Lake and Seminole Pratt, no longer supportive of the residential development. It's compatible with the adjacent properties. We know that commercial is being proposed across the street at the southeast corner of Seminole Pratt and North Lake. I don't know where that's going to end up, but it is being proposed. So that whole kind of node there is starting to change. And again, we don't want to do any heavy commercial uses. It's low scale, 1-story medical office. We're meeting the goals and objectives of the acreage plan. There's already kind of precedent, like I said, set for the other node that was approved, and we're looking to add to that. What I'd like is, I know that there's a legal counsel here for one of the neighbors, and I just wanted to reserve a couple minutes if I need to respond to that after the presentation. But again, just text initiation at this point, and be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions or comments for the applicant at this time? Seeing none, knowing that you can reserve time later. Okay, Commissioner Weiss, do we have any other cards? Yes, we have 5 cards. Go right ahead, sir.
Alexandria Larson, followed by Mark Grafton, followed by Lisa Johnson and Pia Scoran.
I don't know if Mr. Schmidt is blind. I'm sorry, but the guys, because that road is not fixed right now. From Orange to North Lake Boulevard is a mess. I dare you to all go out there right now. I drive it every week. It is an absolute disaster. It's dirt and pipes and just a mess, and it's 2 lanes right at the moment. It is not fixed. It is not wonderful. But that's at the moment right this second, but 22,000 square feet, and that 9 lots there on the west side of Orange, there's nothing there but trees right now. You know, there's no building, there's no nothing. I mean, I don't know what was authorized during COVID, but good luck with that. It's all there, but I'm sure there'll be another big fight on the other side of Orange with these nodes. And Westlake, I have a feeling they're gonna build a lot. They got lots and lots of land, and I think they're gonna do lots and lots of medical, and I think that'll serve the acreage just fine without having to go out in the middle of the road there. Because North Lake and 91st doesn't go through, it doesn't line up. It is a dead end. As far as a working traffic signal, it's a blinking light, and you make your left-hand turn to go back to the acreage. It's the way it is. It is a fact of life. Nobody's going north really except the people that live on 90 and 91st and 100th Ave maybe, but most people go up another road to go home in that area, anywhere but there, because it is a disaster area right now. It looks like Beirut. It does. It looks like a bomb went off on Seminole Pratt Whitney Road, and it didn't get fixed. It's been years now. We got knots in our tires, all kinds of things. Honest stuff. And so painting this world, but that 22,000 square feet, we got to have more. Here we are. More floor area ratio, more everything. It's just enough. Because where we live, we're kind of quiet people. Sadly, I'm not, but most of my neighbors are. They want to be left alone. They just want to live in peace and die in peace in the acreage. Okay? That's how we are. We're really weird. We've been there forever. We don't move every 5 years. We don't change everything every 5 years. We're just different. And people make fun of us, but the acreage, as far as that being an intersection and all what was up there does not exist at the moment, commissioners. I come out and drive around. I'll drive you around in my pickup truck, I promise. I'll take you all with me, okay? And I'll give you a real show. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Weiss? Sir, you're recognized.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Mark Grafton. I'm an attorney with Shubin Law Group with offices at 525 Okeechobee Boulevard. I'm representing the immediately abutting neighbors this morning, Delia Lauchen and Naeem John, whose residence is at 16070 91st Place in Loxahatchee. I usually find myself representing the applicant in favor and advocating for development. This is a concerning application to us. We don't view this as a valid exercise of comprehensive planning. We view this as essentially a change of the rules to benefit one property at the expense of considerations such as compatibility and the original neighborhood plan that drew so many of these people to live in this area. This is effectively what is known in Florida law as spot planning, which is uniformly recognized as bad policy and inconsistent with Florida jurisprudence. Central to comprehensive planning is the appreciation for both neighborhood context and community desires. We heard about some polling in neighborhoods and how that's an important consideration. You're not going to hear that a majority of the neighborhood supports this application. You certainly will not. This application is an affront to both those considerations and would represent an island of commercial in a sea of residential. And it would stick out like a sore thumb. We submitted a letter which I heard was recognized and included as part of the agenda this morning. As part of our letter, we included maps showing what this island would look like in the zoning map and the comprehensive land use map. It would stick out. There's nothing like it within any reasonable proximity. The applicant has used the term transitional, that this would be a transitional use. I don't think that's a fair objective consideration here when you look at all of the surrounding context. There is no commercial zoning anywhere nearby. So to use the word transitional makes sense if there's like a 5-story tower and then you're abutting single story and you want some buffer. I get that. That's not what this is. The staff report recognizes that the traffic impacts of this request have not been established. There's also an argument about how this property no longer is supportive of residential development. If I may take 30 seconds to conclude. There's really zero evidence that supports that. There's all along the western border of Seminole Boulevard, there are residential developments. And the fact that this road is widening is really, it doesn't make any sense when you look at other existing nodes such as Seminole and Okeechobee Boulevard, where there are residential development, and that's arguably a much busier corner. So I really don't see why residential development could not be done on this site, especially with a reasonable buffer along Seminole. And so for those reasons, we respectfully request that you deny this application and uphold the existing neighborhood plan. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Lisa Johnson. I'm a resident nearby. I'm disappointed that Sarah Baxter is not here for such an important text amendment. On 9/17, September 17th, I sent you all an article from Polk County about their overbuilt, which Alex Larson is very aware of what's going on. I see her up here. Their drinking water isn't sustainable. Their sewage isn't sustainable. They're dealing with dead earth that can't sustain life. We really do have to look at that and say, what are we doing? But anyway, let's get back to this. Correction, it was Reach Realty, not Reach Medical, and it was a small realty company that was going to feel and operate as a home. So CDNK pitched this at the Indian Trails and also at the ALA, Acreage and Landowners, as they would like transitional commercial as the properties on Orange Boulevard by Publix. Pitched was a mom and dad business for the owners, a dentist, which and the wife, and a general practitioner, the husband, who wanted medical dental offices, new practice. Later, it was brought to my attention he's 68 years old, kind of questionable why he wouldn't want a new practice. We are concerned. He mentioned he has 20 or 25 patients that he serves in our area. We found out he's not a board-certified doctor. I see this as sketchy of what is this something that we're going to build and resell, possibly become a drug rehab. As per our neighborhood plan, the ALA and county adopted they set up a neighborhood plan that was set by the county and the Acreage Landowners Association and adopted for transitional commercial at the Orange intersection as 0.05 FAR. CDN Medical is asking for a text amendment from 0.5 FAR to 0.15 FAR, changing the property to 7,000 square foot for the building and the parking to 22,000 square foot for the building and the apartment. This would be very overbuilt for a mom and pop proposal. This change would set precedents for all develop on Seminole Pratt, which every property has a street. There's two properties, a street, two properties and a street. We got to be very, very careful at this. There is no way we can have an access road without seriously buying up both sides of the road. So I do want to mention the statement he made about Orange being a smaller commercial node. There's no commercial at this intersection, so smaller? No, there's none there. Orange has Publix, which is a big commercial node, and we agreed on 0.05 FAR, and I'd like it to stay that way. Realizing this property may be unsuitable for residential, it would be possibly reasonable for you to allow a change to points, but at 0.5 FAR with one family. And with the majority of the adjacent landowners on 90th and 91st, they have concerns about this intersection. Again, we are concerned about this being built and flipped and changed into another type of business there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Weiss?
And then following Ms. Goran is going to be Naeem John and Delia Lakchan.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. I'm Pia Scorin. I'm here representing the Acreage Landowners Association as well as myself as a resident, the ALA. You received a letter from the ALA, and we would like for you to include that in your review. Each one of you got a copy of that letter. We are concerned, we also have some residents here, so please be aware of that as well. We are concerned about the size of the proposed building. 0.05 FAR allows about a 7,000 square foot building. They're asking for 0.15 FAR, which turns it into a 22,000 square foot. That's a big difference. So we're not in favor of that. We do not see that the comprehensive plan or the acreage plan criteria can be met for drainage and water, retention and buffers, et cetera, at that size. These properties are adjacent to single-family homes. We are concerned about the planned ingress and egress changing the low-traffic local roads, the side roads, into much more highly trafficked roads, changing the nature of that residential community. We are concerned about the precedent that this text amendment will have on similar properties on Seminole Pratt. The community cannot handle the traffic we already have, so building size capacity and traffic are major concerns. We're also concerned about changes that are made for building use after it's built. I understand that use is allowed to be changed, so I think we need to be very careful about what we allow there. Our area is under tremendous pressure from surrounding development, as you all know. The comprehensive plan and the acreage neighborhood plan, which we worked on with the county and we all agreed on, were intended to protect our neighborhood from over-commercialization and over-development. These are exactly the times these plans were created for. We urge you to stay with the existing plans or as close as possible. We object to the initiation at the requested floor area ratio, and we urge you to work with the ALA as the county moves forward to assess and adjust this proposal. We also took into consideration that there is lower response time by the fire department. They've indicated that there were issues with this, so we want you to take that into consideration as well in terms of what medical can be put there. We know that there are some medical procedures that often require emergency assistance. We've had people die in the area when that assistance hasn't come to a doctor's office, so this is important as well. Thank you very much, folks. Have a great day.
Thank you. Good morning.
Delia Lalchin and Naeem John. We are the neighbors on the west side of the proposed location. I just want to thank everybody for their time today. We retained counsel for this matter just to show you guys how very important it is for us to preserve what we built there for our family. It was a big sacrifice for us to retain counsel and to be here today from our jobs. We bought the property in 2013 after years of saving and carefully reviewing the acreage neighborhood plan as it was in line with my husband's and I rural nature. Between 2013 and 2017, we erected our home there, which was a complete labor of love. I mean, construction is not an easy thing, and we also purchased the 2 parcels west of ours for our daughters, who are actively finishing their college degrees so that they can build their homes there and we can have a family compound. I disagree that the proposed land amendment will not maintain the rural residential feel of the area. I also do not see how this proposed change will maintain harmony with the surrounding rural residential neighborhood. I can't speak for all the residences, however, we don't live in the acreage for conveniences. My husband works in Pompano and I'm in Delray, and we love that drive home every day because we know what we're gonna be driving home to. And I think that's going to substantially change if this medical building goes there. Yeah, so we understand that we're going to drive to dentists, work, shopping, and we made a conscious decision to do that. We lived there prior to any commercial development, so the idea of people needing these types of conveniences in the acreage, I don't think that's speaking for the community that lives there now. I'm concerned, I know there's no site plan yet, but we did receive a site plan in our mailboxes that showed an exit onto 91st. So whether that was submitted yet or not, I mean, that would be very detrimental to our safety, our privacy, noise, and just other considerations if me and my family all plan on living alongside to that. I say all of this to tell you that I think that its proposed land use change will be detrimental to my family's quality of life, and I would like for you to strongly consider opposing this change for the previously mentioned reasons. I know they already said it would set precedents for future commercial building, which I do think will hold true. And if it does, for some strange reason, go past today, I would strongly recommend you keeping it at 0.05 instead of 0.15. And just two things. My husband just wants to say one thing.
Go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
I just wanted to ask one question. By a show of hands, including the owner of the land, who here would like a commercial development put in their backyard? I think that's a unanimous answer, so I just asked him to be empathetic of the people that live in the area.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. We have any other cards, Commissioner Weiss?
No, ma'am.
Okay, very good. All right, do we have any questions or comments by the members of the board? Vice Mayor Marino and then Commissioner Weiss. Okay, you know what?
Oh, go right ahead.
I'm going to have you do your rebuttal now. Then we're going to give our comments. Unless you'd like to do your rebuttal after our comments, but I'll leave that up to you, Counselor.
Ooh, that's interesting. I think I'd like to go.
Okay, go right ahead, sir. You're recognized.
So I just wanted to respond to a few of the items. One, I know there was a mention of a site plan that had access to 91st. We've been toying with a couple concepts just to try to understand what we're up against with the codes and such. Drainage is a concern out there, right? So we had pre-apps with ITID and with the ALA and their drainage engineers. We're actually going to have to look at off-site property to compensate for the storage of drainage, right? So it's not easy. I mean, there's a lot to it. So we do have. So that's part of it. There's a 25% tree preservation. So we have to make sure that's accounted for, right? Again, we're at the infancy stage here. We're just asking for the text initiation so we can get off the ground to even, start looking at more detail. So we haven't gotten to the compatibility, the access, all those things. But one thing I can tell you is that 91st does not have current access to Seminole Pratt, so no one can come through their neighborhood, and we intend to keep it that way. We will not allow for that connection to happen. In terms of changing the rules, we're not trying to change the rules. The rules exist that have allowed for those parcels at Orange to request for CLO on the west side of Seminole Pratt, and we're looking to just expand those to this additional node. Again, we had a project at Jog and Pioneer, right? If you can envision Jog and Pioneer, well, at the light there is Summit or Gun Club that comes into Jog. There was a gentleman who lived at that intersection who was part of the project. It didn't get approved, but he was so tired of people running that red light and ending up in his barn, and he couldn't even get rid of the property. He couldn't give the property away because no one wanted to live at that intersection. And this is the exact same T intersection situation. So I don't know who would subject themselves to that. Living in this location, and that's why we're proposing a low intensity commercial. One thing I did want to point out is this is the neighbor's property and some things that we won't be, right? So we're not going to be 2-story. We're not going to be ultra modern design. We have to have front porch. We have to have about 13 different rural residential and ALA requirements. So we won't look like that. We will be of a rural nature. And we won't have school buses, tractors, broke down cars, vehicles, and kind of a contractor storage yard area. We will not have any of that on our property. So I just, in terms of compatibility and the rural nature, I just wanted to say we will not have any of those items. So again, with that, we're just at the infancy stage of initiation to get this off the ground. So we really appreciate, and we want to keep working. We've been working well with ALA and ITID, and we want to keep that conversation going. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any questions or comments to the applicant? I have a question. It was noted that there are 2 doctors that were living on site. Is they're looking for like an office where they can live on site, continue to live on site?
No, they own the property, and they're looking to build their practice there, but they don't live there, no.
Okay. Are these
They
2
won't live
doctors, one is a doctor, one is a dentist?
Correct.
Are they Florida certified licensed doctors, sir?
Yep, the doctor is there in the yellow shirt, and he's nodding his head yes. And he's the
So he is a cert, so
Absolutely.
that's in opposition to what somebody said, he's not a Florida licensed doctor?
I'll have.
No, please.
I'll have the
please.
doctor
I think
respond
that
to-
might be
yeah.
good. Thank you, sir. Sir, if you could state your name and then later you
Hi,
could do
how
a
are
card.
you?
If-
Good
Sir,
afternoon.
sir,
Morning.
sir?
Yes.
Listen to me for a minute. Okay. After you finish speaking, if you could write a card out so that we have notice that you came up to speak. Sir, you're recognized. Just state your name.
What was the question? I didn't follow you.
I don't have a question for you. It's your counselor. that-
Yeah, I'm the Florida licensed physician, primary care internist, and my wife is a dentist. And then I bought this land around 20 years ago, 21 years ago, and my goal is to build a medical office. It's not going to be only me. A lot of other specialty, like a cardiologist, like a pulmonologist and gastroenterologist, whatever there are the needed in this area. And we know that this area is an underserved area for the physicians and dentists. So just want to come and help.
Thank
That's
you.
all. I'm the hospitalist also, physician. I'm in the primary care. I go to the 2 hospitals. I go to the Palm Beach Garden Medical Center and also Jupiter Medical Center.
It's up to, thank you, sir. Okay. All right, now, I think we have some lights. No, wait, sir. Sir, did you wish to speak before the board?
I would, but if I could speak on direct this one, because
You'd need to fill out a card? Okay. That's okay. Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor Moreno, did you have your light on or not? No? Okay. Commissioner Weiss and Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you. Can you, want to understand the timing of the road completion?
Sir, you're going to need to turn your microphone on and state your name.
I'm Quasi Bari from the Traffic Division.
Very good.
This intersection is under construction right now, and I'm not sure how long will it take for it to be completed, but it's moving forward.
I mean, it's been under construction for a while. I'd like to get some information as to when that's going to be completed.
Okay, I will get that information for you.
Okay. I have concerns. I was when the Orange, the project over at Orange in Seminole Pratt came through. I was serving on this board, and there was support from the Acreage Landowners Association at that time for the way that was being designed and put forth. I think that's. I thought that was a reasonable way to try and provide the needed space and services for the folks living out there. I think this is, in my estimation, the 22,000 square feet is too much. if this does move forward, I would not support it at that. I would like to see it consistent with what else we've developed. I have big concerns about this area because of the expansion of Seminole Pratt and North Lake Boulevard, that they're, in what is going to be needed. And obviously, residential right at that location would be difficult to imagine somebody wanting to build a single-family home out there. And there is a need for services as well. So, based on what the request is, I would not support it at that FAR level. So that's my comments right now on this.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. First question with this, because this is a text initiation, can you go over the process of what we would be approving and the next step that this would have?
Sure. So this is the timeline. Should the board initiate today, we would intake the flu and text application next Wednesday, and then it would go to the Planning Commission in spring 2025, spring 2025, and then the board would see it for transmittal on May 7th, and then should the board transmit, it would also have an adoption hearing with the concurrent zoning application.
Okay. Just for myself, I'm uncomfortable with supporting this at this time. I feel that I did have my agenda review, but I feel that I was not fully prepared for this today, and having the residents come out and speak, I'm not comfortable supporting moving this forward at this point. Not that I don't know if we have an option to, for this to come back. If we were to deny the text initiation, are they allowed to bring it back?
Yes, so unlike the flu amendments, there's no 2-year issue with not being able to resubmit.
Okay. Well, at this time, my vote would be to deny.
Okay. Vice Mayor Moreno.
Thank you. I know that it was referenced earlier with the slide that showed the commercial node going down. It was several lots, and it was at the .05. I'm comfortable at .05. I'm not comfortable at .15 at all. If we were to transmit at .15 today, I would not transmit. Like Commissioner Weiss, I'm comfortable with .05. I could see where this would be a commercial node. I could see a 7,000 square foot building on that property. I cannot see 22,000 square feet, because if we give it to them, we got to give it to the next and the next and the next. And then that really truly becomes heavy commercial as opposed to just a neighborhood commercial. So I would make a motion to
Okay. I'd just like to have some more comments before we go on to the motions, if you don't mind.
There's no one else who has a
Yeah,
light
I
on.
am.
Okay. Well,
I don't
I
have
can
a
still
light,
make a
you see?
motion.
You can go ahead and make, but I would prefer if you wait till I make my comments. The mayor does not have any light.
Go right ahead,
Oh,
Mayor.
thank you. I appreciate it. No, it's okay. This is the last one. Philosophically, I just think that the way that we did our zoning initially, many, many years ago in this county, that we wanted to set aside certain areas of the county for people who want to, quote, be left alone. That there is an area, we have a big county, and I'm not the district commissioner, but I just think philosophically, every zoning area, that every way that we look at land, we should look at it in terms of what do the people want when they move there. When you move to Meisner and East Boca, you want urban, you want action, you want retail, commercial, you want to be able to go down your elevator and you've got restaurants. When you move to certain areas of the county, I think philosophically, we need to still have some areas in this beautiful county of ours that's left alone, that just is just agricultural or preserve or something where people just don't want to have urban, suburban commercial around them. And if we can, and if we encroach upon these beautiful areas of, I just want to be left alone, we're not going to have any left. I am not, I don't have enough information on this. First of all, it's not compatible with the surrounding area, and I know compatibility is an issue that is very important when we look at which the applicant is coming in. And second, which really upsets me, is that we don't have any traffic impacts. And I know these roads are deficient. So if we say roads are deficient, and we all complain about it, and we look at FDOT, we look at our county engineers and blame them, but buck stops right here. And that is, if we put further development in deficient roads today, we're only going to make the traffic worse. And it's going to make it much more difficult for EMS or law enforcement to get out on already deficient roads. So I don't see any particular need for a 22,000 square foot medical office in an area that is just pure wildlands or agricultural or whatever it is. People want to be left alone. I have not heard of a need for folks to, for maternity uses or cardiac issues, to have medical right there on this land, on that already deficient roadway. So I cannot support this at this time. I think one day when we have those needs, we can fill those needs with a 22 or 45,000, or we can have a whole commercial node out there. But right now, with no traffic studies on this issue, with deficient roads, with a problem with compatibility for the neighbors, I just do not see the need to even initiate this. So that's my position on it, and I'm surprised because I didn't know all these facts when I was discussing it, and I apologize to the applicant if you didn't know my position on it. But after listening to what we've heard today, and not having any traffic study, it's just we're just not ready for this. So with that, if somebody wants to make a motion, you go right ahead.
Is it possible?
Of course you could. Of course.
So I understand what you're saying about the compatibility side of things. And again, for the initiation, is it possible that we can take that time to come up with a plan of attack of what that site plan looks like to start having that discussion? Because until we get past at least this point, we can't really have that discussion on site plan and compatibility and traffic, and because that's really not taken into account in just the text. And so could we maybe collectively agree it's somewhere between the 0.05 and the 0.15, and then we look at what that site plan looks like to make that happen? Because the 0.05 is a very small number. We wanted to have some flexibility because we know we have drainage to deal with, the tree preservation. There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle.
Would you like a postponement so you could discuss the compatibility and the traffic and all these other issues that you just brought up, sir? With that, and I think we may need, I'm looking at the attorney, we may need a board approval. I mean, if you want to, I don't know, it's up to you, but if you would like to postpone it, I would certainly entertain that motion.
Yes, I'd rather that than
right?
denying it, so we
Okay.
can still be.
So do I need a
in the
board
mix to come
approval
back.
of that, Mr. Attorney?
Yes, I think a motion to postpone would be appropriate from the board.
Okay, so I can't make that
But
motion?
obviously, you also are within your rights to deny it, and then the applicant can come back with another proposed text amendment as well.
You're the professional.
I'd rather postpone so and then we can keep the conversation going with
Okay.
the neighbors and ITID and ALA and come back.
We have, so I think, and we have a motion on the floor. I think that,
I'll make a motion to postpone.
I think the discussion today that we should have is, do we postpone, or do we approve, or do we deny? And We have one motion on the floor from Vice Mayor Marino to postpone. I can't make any motion, so is there a second, or should we entertain another motion at this time? I will not entertain anything from the audience. Okay, we have a second from Commissioner Barnett. All those four posts, should we have a roll call? Would you feel more comfortable? Okay. All those four.
Excuse me, I would like to make a substitute motion.
Absolutely, go right ahead, Commissioner Weiss.
I'd like to make a substitute motion to deny.
We have, okay, we have a motion to deny by Commissioner Weiss, a second by Commissioner Woodward. So now I'm looking at the attorney. Should we have how do we proceed, sir, so that we can, knowing that there's 5 of us?
Discussion and vote.
Okay, we will vote on the first motion first.
You vote on the substitute motion.
Substitute motion first. Is there any discussion on the substitute motion? I have a question. If we deny the proposal at this time, that does not deny the applicant from coming back at a later date with a maybe more information or more studies. Is that correct, sir? Is that
Correct.
okay? And may I ask you if you have a preference?
No, it really takes us to the same end game.
Okay.
I mean, I'd rather not have a denial, but it's either way, it gets us to the same end game.
Okay, so now we're open to a discussion on the substitute motion by Commissioner Weiss, seconded by Commissioner Woodward. And Commissioner Woodward, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just like to say, I know that either motion kind of brings us back to the same place. However, I'm just disturbed that I didn't have more information before this vote today, and I would encourage you, when you come back, however this comes back, it's really important that you speak to every commissioner on this, and also with the neighbors, because, you know, it does matter, and it makes all of our lives a lot easier if you get to that point before we get to this stage. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Mayor Marino, you're recognized.
I will support the motion, and it does give the petitioner a chance to come back. I don't think you'll have any support if you come back with something large. So that's my caveat to you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So it appears that we have, with the withdrawal of the first motion to postpone, that we have a substitute motion that we can vote on at this time.
You could withdraw his request, too.
No, it's okay. It's just, okay, so we're going to do a roll call vote. You don't need a roll call? Okay. All those in favor of the motion to, the substitute motion to deny, everybody for it? Anybody oppose it? See that it passes unanimously, 5-0. Thank you, sir. Okay. I took care of that. Let's move on. We are now on comments. Oh, that was good. So we're going to start with the Assistant County Attorneys.
No comments.
Okay, very good. The Planning Director.
Yes, just a quick comment. We just wanted to report back to the board for the Boynton Beach annexation feasibility study. As indicated in June, we were meeting with the city staff and the city just to make sure that, you know, we monitor the process. There's a lot of public interest in that. We did send a quick link to a website that the city has created. Right now, the status for this quarter is that there's no change in their feasibility study. We will monitor it again and come back in January and report to the board. But there is a website for those that are interested, and you can even just query Boynton Beach annexation feasibility study, and you'll land there. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much. Zoning Director. I see you waving.
I'm sorry, you got myself instead of the zoning director, Donna Allisford was zoning. Do you have any comments?
Oh, that's fine. Thank you so much. And the Executive Director. Oh,
No
right
comments,
ahead.
thank you. Thank you.
No comments? Okay. The Executive Director? Oh, okay, sorry. Deputy, wow, we have so many important people. Deputy County Administrator.
No comment, thanks.
Oh, easy. And now I go on to my commissioners. I'd like to start with Commissioner Weiss.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank staff, as always. You guys do an excellent job, so thank you, and to all the folks that are back in the office that help prepare this, so thank you for that. I just also want to reach out to our community and thank you for those that participated in the election, regardless of who you voted for, that you made your voices heard through the ballot box, and so thanks to everybody. And I also want to thank the volunteers and the folks that helped carry out those elections. Vice Mayor Marino and I had the opportunity of spending a lot of time with them, and some more still to come. And but to know that your elections, I can tell you that the elections here are done in a absolutely first-class manner, and invite everybody out to the SOE to have an opportunity to see it if you have not seen it, and wish everybody a wonderful day.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Woodward?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to my two fellow commissioners who were working diligently to the wee hours of the morning canvassing, and also all of our staff who were part of the EOC activation last night. But very busy for a lot of people. I did want to request to give staff direction to meet with each of the commissioners individually to discuss the potential for doing a workshop for our nonprofits. This was brought to me from the HAP Center. There's a wanting to put a cell tower, some sort of something that's on the property. And I think we have 57 different nonprofits that have similar agreements with the county. And, you know, the request is to workshop it, but I would like for staff to be able to meet with all of you individually before we move to actually requesting a workshop, just because it's a big one. And before we put it on them to actually get us into workshop mode, I would like for all of them to be able to meet with you, and then we could vote together, do we want to have this as a workshop? But instead of just going straight to that, because it's a big ask, I would request everyone to meet with them.
Thank you very much.
Other than that, hope we all get some rest soon. It was a long night. Thank you.
It was a long night. Thank you. Commissioner Barnett. Vice Mayor Marino.
Well, I do have to tell you, at 2:30 last night, when Greg and I left the Supervisor of Elections office, I wasn't sure I was going to get here by 9:30 this morning. So I'm just happy to be here, and I'd like to actually thank my fellow commissioners. You know, it takes a lot for us to sit here and add density or add square footage, and it's not something we take lightly. So thank you for a thoughtful discussion this afternoon, and Commissioner Barnett, you will be missed. And with that, I say thank you.
Thank you. I just want to thank my colleagues for a spirited discussion, and to let the public know that we really work very hard at these issues. But these issues are important. And I know that a lot of folks think that we talk beforehand, but because of the regulations that we are under, this is a very transparent discussion. And I thank my colleagues. They used to say, never fear the debate. And we have good debates here. And I appreciate that. I also want to say to Commissioner Barnett, we have really enjoyed having you here. The political arena is difficult. And I know many people who lost their first race. I know one very personally who lost her first race. And somebody once told me, don't worry, Abraham Lincoln lost every race that he ran until the last one for president. So I think that to be a relevant public servant, it's part of the game of the strategy of being in politics, which is not easy. You have been a good public servant here. And I tell you as your colleague that party partisanship, just, it ends at this, at the door to the county commission. We are not, I've been a member of a party since July 4th, 1985 is when I became part of a particular party, and I know that in this board, there is no party politics. We look at the issues squarely, fairly, and for the benefit of the people. And I look forward to working with our new commissioners, but you will be missed. And I know you have a long career in politics here in Palm Beach County or the state of Florida. You never know. You never know. Yes, sir.
I have one more meeting, don't I?
You do, so I don't have to get all maudlin or anything, but don't worry, you're not going anywhere yet. You're not going anywhere yet, absolutely. I had a long night, and I'm just happy that I'm here today, too. Look at that. So it strikes pretty personally. But I want to remind everybody that the election is over. Election is over, and we have a very important date coming up, which is November 11th, which I feel very strongly about, our Veterans Day. So with that, if there's nothing other before the board, I'm going to adjourn for the day. Thank you.